Hello class, in a paper Organization Behavior with paper code BBAP 3305, we are going to cover the topic of third unit, that is concept of group and group dynamics. I am Ragini Dixit, working as Assistant Professor, School of Management, BBD University. Now the contents of this presentation are: first, concept of group, we will understand the meaning of groups. Then skills for healthy group, then reasons for joining group, why people join groups. Then we will come to group dynamics, its meaning, what does group dynamic means, what are the principles which govern this group dynamics, factors affecting group dynamics, and various elements which constitute the group dynamics, and finally the conclusion. Now, coming to our introduction slide. Introduction: human being is a social animal. It is rare to know an individual living isolated. Individual life is made up of largely by participating in groups. Means because of being a social animal, it always human being always prefer to live in groups. And the individual goes outside her or his home during the day and works amongst the group members and returns in the evening for a common meal where members of the family relate their experiences. So all human beings normally enter their first group, the family, at the moment of the birth. This is the first group with which we interact, and in the course of lifetime we meet different groups of different organizations wherever we are working in our college life also. By and large, one joins a profession and becomes a member of the group. Now, coming to the meaning of group. A group is when two or more people share a common definition and evaluation of themselves and behave in accordance with such a definition. They have common definition and evaluation of themselves, and they behave according to that definition and evaluations. Then another way to explain group can be: it is a collection of people who interact with one another, accept their rights and obligations as members, and who share a common identity. Now, another definition of group or meaning of group is given by Sherif, and he says that a group is a social unit which consists of number of individuals who stand in definite status and role relationship to one another, and which possess a set of values or norms of its own regulating the behavior of individual members, at least in matter of consequences to the group. So group is a social unit where individuals have status and role relationship with one another, and it has a set of values or norms which regulates the behavior of individual members. Now, skills for a healthy group climate. To create a healthy group climate, various skills are required among the group members, and these can be: your openness should be there between the group members, trust and self-disclosure should be there, support should be there, respect, individual responsibility and accountability, constructive feedback. All these factors or all these skills contribute to the healthy group climate. Now, coming to the first skill, that is openness. Group members are willing to get to know one another, particularly those with different interests and backgrounds. They are open to new ideas, diverse viewpoints, and the variety of individuals present within the group. They listen to others and elicit their ideas. They know how to balance the need for cohesion within a group with the need for individual expression. So group members are willing to know or get to know one another, particularly those with different interests and backgrounds, as well as they are open to new ideas, diverse viewpoints, and the variety of individuals present within the group. There should be openness. Group members should not be rigid to some viewpoints. Then there should be trust and self-disclosure. Group members trust one another enough to share their ideas and feelings. There should be trust so that they can share their ideas and feelings. Then there should be sense of mutual trust develops only to the extent that everyone is willing to self-disclose and be honest yet respectful. Each and every individual in the group member should be honest and respectful to one another. Trust also grows as a group. The members demonstrate personal accountability for the task they have been assigned. If they complete their task as considering it as their personal accountability, trust develops automatically. Then comes the support. Group members demonstrate support for one another as they accomplish their goals. They exemplify a sense of team loyalty and both cheer on the group as a whole and help members who are experiencing difficulties. So, group members provide support to each other. They view one another not as competitor but as collaborator. Means they have to work together in a coordinated effort. Then there should be respect. Group members communicate their opinions in a way that respects others, focusing on what can be learned rather than who is to blame. This should be the focus. Then individual responsibility and accountability. All group members agree on what needs to be done and by whom. Every individual should take their responsibility and accountability. They can be held accountable for their tasks and they hold others accountable for theirs. Then there can be constructive or honest feedback among the group members. Group members can give and receive feedback about group ideas. Give constructive feedbacks require focusing on ideas and behavior instead of individual. Being as positive as possible and offering suggestions for improvement. Receiving feedback requires listening well, asking for clarification if the comment is unclear, and being open to change and other ideas. So while receiving any feedback, an individual should be open to change and accept the ideas of the other individual. Now, reasons for joining a group. Why people join a particular group? Great organizational behavior scholar K. Ashwathappa said that there is no single reason why individual joins groups. So there is no single reason which explains why an individual joins groups, since most people belong to many groups, and it is not true that only one individual belongs to only one group. That is, there can be your informal groups, there can be your formal groups, informal groups, your reference groups. So you can be the member of any of these groups or all of these groups. So it is obvious that different groups offer different attraction and benefits to their members. The most popular reasons for joining a group are related to our needs for security. We generally join group for satisfying our need for security, esteem, affiliation, power, identity, huddling, and task functions. Now, coming to our security needs. Security needs, probably the strongest reason for group formation is the people's need for security. By joining a group, we can reduce our insecurity. We feel stronger that we belong to particular groups, and the members of that in particular group are able to help us out whenever in the need, have fewer self-doubts, and are more resistant to threats. Then power. Membership of groups offers powers to members in at least two ways. First, there are sayings such as united we stand and divided we fall, and there is strength in numbers. These are driving forces behind unionizations. Workers enjoy much greater power collectively than they do as individuals. So when for example when workers join any trade union, they feel much strong. That is, they believe on this concept, that is united we stand and divided we fall. They feel that their strength is more as compared to individual. Second, the leadership of informal groups enables an individual to exercise power over group members, even if he does not enjoy the formal position of authority in the organization. In informal groups, anyone can exercise power on the basis of his knowledge or experience, although he is not in any formal position of authority in the organization. Then comes the identity. Group membership contributes to the individual's eternal quest for an answer to the question, who am I? We can answer this question very well, that I belong to that particular group. That is, it is common knowledge that tries to understand ourselves through the behavior of others towards us. If others praise us, we feel we are great. If others enjoy our jokes, we see ourselves as funny person, and so on. Groups provide several others who will laugh, praise or admire us. Now comes the esteem. An individual can increase his self-esteem through group membership. First, one may gain esteem by becoming a member of a high status group. If one becomes a member of high status group, he thinks that his esteem has been raised. Associated with high status people is reinforcing, and one who belongs to such a group is usually accorded a high status by outsiders. Second, the close relationship an individual can develop as a group member provides opportunity for recognition and praise that are not advisable outside of the group. So, the close relationship an individual can develop as a group member provides him the opportunities for being recognized and being praised that is not available to him outside the group. Now, next reason for joining any group can be affiliation. Another reason why people join group is that they enjoy the regular company of the other people, particularly those who possess common interest. Individual may seek out others at work who shares common hobbies or common background, that is somehow they feel affiliated to that group. Huddling. One or more reason why individuals want to join group is for huddling. Because of the way bureaucracies work, individuals, particularly executive, make use of informal get-togethers called huddles. These are intimate task-oriented encounters of executives trying to get something done. Huddling enables executive to deal with emerging matters and minimize the amount of surprise. It also serves to reduce red tape by cutting through hierarchical channels of communication and minimizing misunderstanding. Because organization charts represent real duties, huddling can compensate for a lack of leadership by taking collective and unofficial responsibility for getting things done. Now, coming to the next topic, that is group dynamics. What does we mean by group dynamics? Group dynamics means the attitudinal and behavioral characteristics of a group, or you can say group members. What are their characteristics? What are their attitudes? How they behave? How they work? This is all studied in group dynamics. Group dynamics concerns how groups are formed, what is their structure, and what are the processes which are followed up in any group, and how a particular group functions. All this is studied in group dynamics. Then group dynamics are relevant in both formal and informal groups of all types. Means this group dynamics can be seen in both formal and informal types of groups. In an organizational setting, groups are very common organizational entity, and the study of groups and group dynamic is an important area of study in organizational behavior. For studying the behavior of individual in groups or in organization, this group dynamics plays an important role. We have to understand what do we mean by group dynamics and what are the various elements, or you can say functions, of group dynamics. Now, principles of group dynamics. First principle is the members of the groups must have a strong sense of belongingness to the group. The barrier between the leader and to be led must be broken down. That is, all have to work interdependently, and there should be no leader while others should not follow that. It is not compulsory for the others to follow that leader. They should work in a participating mode. Then second is, the more attraction a group is to its member, the greater influence it would exercise on its members. Then the greater the prestige of the group members in the eyes of the members, the greater influence he would exercise on the theme. The greater the prestige of the group members, the greater influence he will exercise. Then the successful efforts to change individual subparts of the group would result in making them conform to the norms of the group. The pressures for change, when strong, can be established in the group by creating a shared perception by the members for the need for change. Now comes the factors affecting group dynamics. What are the factors which affect group dynamics? These are psychological forces, your past experiences, goals and ideologies, and associational forces. Psychological forces. The psychology or desires of the individual revolve around their need for status, that is security, recognition, experience, and belongingness. All this affects their adaptability to the group. These psychological factors influence the adaptability of the group. Then past experience. An individual's behavior in a group depends upon his or her learning from the past events of life, comprising of his habits, attitude, perception, etc. Then goals and ideology. Another essential component is the individual goals and beliefs, which may or may not align with that of the whole group, leading to disagreement and unwillingness to perform. Then comes your associational forces. The associational factors, that is the impact of family, geographical habitations, peers group, traditions, customs, and religions on the individual direct his or her actions in a group. So these are the factors which are going to affect the group dynamics or the behavior of the members in a group. These are your psychological forces, past experiences, goals and ideology, and your associational forces. Now, elements of group dynamics. The success or failure of a group depends upon so many factors. Group member, resources, structure. It includes group size, group role, group norms and group cohesiveness, group processes, that is the communication, group decision making processes, power dynamics, conflicting interaction, etc. and group tasks, that is their complicity and interdependence. All this contributes to group dynamics. So now we are going to study some of these elements. First of all is your group structure. A group is a well-planned and systematic collection of individuals for goal achievement. Every group has a specified structure, the size, and it includes the size of the group, the status of the group, the roles of group members, the norms of the groups, and cohesiveness of the group are outlined well in advance to avoid any confusion during task accomplishment. Now you can see group structure, it consists of roles, norms, status, group size, and group cohesiveness. Your roles include role identity, role perception, role expectation, and role conflict, while your norms can be your appearance norms, your performance norms, social arrangement norms, or resource allocation norms. Now coming to group norms. These are the specified rules and guidelines. Norms, you can say these are the rules and regulations. These are the specified rules and guidelines to act in a desired manner, and they can be categorized as appearance norms, performance norms, social arrangement norms, resource allocation norms. These are the various group norms. Now, appearance norms. The group together decides the attire and presentability of its members. Then how they are going to appear. Performance norm, the guidelines for the desired level of contribution and expected results. Then social arrangement norms, individual interaction and communication within a group. Then resource allocations, all the resources such as compensation, equipment, tools and other amenities for task accomplishment are assigned to the group members as per the specific guidelines. So these are the rules or regulations. These can be appearance, what they have to, how they have to present themselves, performance, what level of performance or contribution is expected or required, then social arrangement, how they are going to interact and communicate with one another, and resource allocation norms. Then comes your group rules, a defined manner in which an individual is supposed to behave while holding a particular position in the group can be termed as his or her role. It comprises of the following: role identity. What is good role? A defined manner in which an individual is supposed to behave. How a person behave is his role, and how he is going to behave, it is well defined, and it depends upon the position depends upon his or her position in the group. This can be your, it comprises of the following. Group roles comprises of the following. It consists of role identity, the set of behavior or attitude defining the role of a particular position. Then role perception, how an individual interprets his role in the group or organization. Then role expectations, anticipation of the individual's role in the team by the group members, what he is expected to do by the other group members. Then role conflict, whenever the roles of two or more group members are not adequately specified or clash with one another, there is a situation of role conflict. Then comes your group status. The status here means the position or reputation of a group within the organization. A group which is recognized throughout the company for its achievement, teamwork and cohesiveness holds better goodwill or high status, that is high status group. Therefore, the workers show more interest in becoming a part of such groups. Also, the existing group members tend to possess a higher degree of loyalty towards their teammates, which strengthens this high status group even more. Then comes your group size, means number of people in that particular group or components or the number of individuals participating in that group. It can be small group and large group. Small group, we know that small group comprising of 3 to 10 individuals are more functional than the larger ones. The huge groups comprises more than 10 people are the large groups, and they always encounter issues like delay in decision making, lack of participation of all the members, dissatisfaction and lack of belongingness among the group members. So small groups are higher satisfied and the individuals participation is more effective, or they are more into decision making, these small groups. Then comes your group cohesiveness. The cohesion or intactness of the group members shows the level of bonding they share. Let us now understand the various elements of group cohesion. It can be your task relations. It refers to the interaction of individuals in a group for the accomplishment of the assigned work. Then social relations, the interaction of the group members on a personal work, means what tasks they are assumed to do or they are expected to do, what are their interpersonal relations. Then emotions can be seen as feelings shared by the group members, and what type of feelings are shared among the group members. So group cohesiveness depends upon task relation, social relations and emotions. Now, group development group development is a process of engaging unfamiliar individuals into a capable team or group for the accomplishment of a specific task. Means individuals joins a group for the completion of a particular task. Now, at every stage of group development, there is a change in the individual attitude, perception and behavior. There are various stages of group development. These can be forming, storming, norming, performing and adjourning. So forming, at this stage the formation of a new group begins, wherein the members come together and get to know each other through the interaction. Then storming, once they get introduced to each other, conflict arises. Conflict and competition among the group members will be highest at this stage, and the most dominant wants to become the leader. That is, the most dominant group members come in the front, while the confrontational members remain silent and continue to be in the security or calm stage. Then after forming, storming, the next stage is norming stage. Once the role of every member is cleared, Along with the authority and responsibility of each, the team members start settling in a group. Here, everybody works cohesively towards the target and appreciate each other's experience and skill. Then next is your performing. At this stage, synergy gets created between the team members where everyone works towards the accomplishment of a goal. This stage is characterized by flexibility and interdependence. Now, adjourning. This is the last stage of group development where the group is terminated and the group members are separated from each other. Every group is created for a purpose, and once the purpose is fulfilled, the group is adjourned. Now next is your group decision making. When it comes to group decision making, the leader should provide a fair chance for every member to put forward their thoughts and ideas, and these are various methods through which decisions are made in the groups. These are brainstorming, means taking the view or input from each individual, step ladder technique involving a new member and letting that person provide his or her suggestion, electronic meeting for the groups comprising of people from different locations. E-meetings are carried out to take their views. Then comes your interacting groups. The individuals in a group are engaged in group discussion or for problem solving. Then nominal group technique. The group members are clustered into smaller teams for a systematic presentation of their idea or solution, and after which each of the individual votes for his or her most preferred plan. So these are the various methods through which group decisions are made. Brainstorming, step ladder technique, electronic meeting, interacting groups and nominal group technique. Then comes your group communication, that is how effectively a group communicates. It determines the overall success or failure of the group in reaching its goal. Many methods of communication may be used within groups working towards a common business goal. Email, project management software, group documents and video telephone conferencing are some of the ways that the traditional face-to-face group meeting is becoming less prevalent. It is imperative of all members of a group to fully understand and utilize the chosen method of communication. Open and transparent communication through the group's chosen method of communication builds and maintains a sense of trust within the group as a whole and keeps the group working together towards the goal. So, coming to the end of this presentation, we come to the conclusion. A sound understanding of group dynamics and the role it plays in business is a critical component of successful management. So, for successful management, we have to understand what do we mean by group dynamics, what are its various elements, and how we are going to control these elements for better group dynamics. Then, when a good dynamic exists within a group working towards a common goal, each individual member will perform effectively and achieve goal set by the group. So, when a group dynamic exists within a group working towards a common goal, each member of the group is involved or is working for a common goal, each individual member will perform effectively and achieve goals set by the groups. Poor group dynamics, however, can adversely affect performance, leading to negative outcome on the common goal or project. Many variables contribute to a good work dynamic. Now, this was all about your group development, your concept of group and your group dynamics. So, group dynamics included principles of group dynamics, which are the factors. These are psychological forces, past experiences, goals and associational forces. Then elements of group dynamic consist of group structure. Group structure consists of group roles, norms, status, group size and group cohesiveness. awareness. Your roles can be your role identity, your role perception, your role expectation, or your role conflict. Norms can be your appearance norms, your performance norms, social arrangement norms, and resource allocation norms. Status can be your high status or low status group. Group size can be small group or large group. And then it comes your group cohesiveness, how individuals in a group are related to each other, how cohesively they work with one another, and it depends upon the task relation, social relations, and emotions of the individuals. Then another component of the group dynamic is group development, how a particular group develops. Generally, while developing, a group goes through these stages, that is your forming, storming, norming, and performing, adjourning. This is your forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. Independence to return to independence. After adjourning, in each individual in the group is independent. That is, it starts from the independence and it ends to independence only. But in the meanwhile, in between, the group members are dependent on each other. That is forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. Forming, group introduce themselves, then storming, some group members want to take the leadership after the tasks and responsibilities are distributed. In norming, each and every individual is busy in performing their tasks. Then in performing, they perform well they work for the teamwork to achieve to make the group to achieve its goal, and after the achievement of the goal, the group is finally generally adjourned. Now, then group decision making, these are the various techniques we have done, that is brainstorming, taking view or input from each individual, taking the view of a new member, electronic meeting, doing meeting on electronic media, then interacting groups, then nominal group techniques. Then group communication, we can use email, project management software, group documents, video and telephone conference, to overcome the traditional face-to-face group meeting, which are now less prevalent, and for open and transparent communication. So this was all about your concept of group. We are going to cover the topic of third unit, that is stages of group development and theories of group formation. I am Ragini Dixit, working as Assistant Professor, School of Management, BBD University. Now, the contents of this presentation are the meaning of group development, what do we mean by group development, then what are the various stages of group development, then we will discuss the model given by Bruce Tuckman on group development, then we will understand what do we mean by group formation and what are its objectives and various theories of group formation, and finally the conclusion. Now, coming to the group development, what does it mean? The group development means forming the association of people to work as a group and direct their actions towards the accomplishment of a common goal. That is, group development means forming the association of individuals or people so they can work as a goal, work as a group towards the achievement of a common goal. That is, association of people to work as a group and direct their action towards the accomplishment of a common goal. Association of people, then for these people, this association is going to work for the accomplishment of a common goal. The jobs of each member are interdependent, and hence the performance of one will affect the entire group's performance. Since the performance of one group member is affected by another group members, that is, their jobs are interdependent, so performance of one group member will affect the entire group's performance. Now, in the case of new group, members are unfamiliar with one another's personalities, intentions, and are tentative in their instructions. For this, therefore, developing into a mature phase, the new group must pass through certain stages of development, which are depicted as following. These stages are the first stage, second stage, third and fourth stage. The first stage of group development is of mutual acceptance. The second stage is of communication and decision making. Third stage is of motivation and productivity. And fourth stage is of control and organization. Now, the first stage of group development is called mutual acceptance. Now, in this stage, the members of the groups get acquainted with another. Means they get themselves introduced with one another, and they begin to test which interpersonal behaviors are acceptable and which are unacceptable to other members of the group. If all the members know each other, the group may move to next stage. The second stage is of communication and decision making. During this stage, group members share their opinions and formulate the group goals. Now, through communication and decision making, the structure becomes clear and group moves towards the third stage. Structure becomes clear means who will be the group leaders, what role each individual has to perform. It becomes clear through communication and decision making, and the group moves towards the third stage. Now, the third stage is of motivation and productivity, which is characterized by a shared acceptance among members of what the group is trying to do. Each member or each person begins to recognize and accept his role and accept and understand the role of other group members. Now, members also become more comfortable with each other and they develop a sense of group identity and unity. They feel motivated and they work for giving more productivity, producing more work. Then the fourth stage is of control and organization, in which the members enact the roles they have accepted and direct their group efforts towards goal attainment. In reality, this developmental sequence may vary from group to group. For example, because of time, personal characteristics of group members and frequency of interaction, these all can affect how a particular group matures, or what will be the various stages through which a group or association of individual is going to pass. Now, there is one model given by Bruce Tuckman for stages of group development. The most famous and well-known model of group development was proposed by Bruce Tuckman during 1960, and it included 4 stages. These are your forming, storming, norming and performing. And later on, the 5th stage, adjourning, was added in this model. Now, these are, you can see in this diagram, these various stages are forming, storming, norming, then performing, and lastly one more stage is added, that is adjourning. These are the stages of group development. Now, coming to the first stage, according to this model, first stage will be your forming stage, as that is of mutual acceptance. It is similar to the normal group stages of development of a group. Just it is a model on which the group can develop. Forming. At this stage, the formation of a new group begins, wherein the members come together, get to know each other through the interaction. Here the individuals are excited and anxious to know about the scope of the task and the ways to approach it. Generally, the individual come with a desire to get accepted by others and avoid controversy or conflict. Now, coming to the next stage, it is of storming stage. Once the forming stage is over, the individuals will start interacting with each other in the context of the task to be achieved. The conflict and competition among the group members will be highest at this stage, because they will start interacting with each other, so the conflict and competition will also rise. The most dominant group members come in front, while the confrontational members remain silent and continue to be in the security or calm stage. The issues related to the leadership, responsibility, strategies, rules, authorities, evaluation, reward system, etc. arises at the storming stage. So people discuss about the leadership, responsibilities, strategies, rules, authorities, evaluation, and because of these conflict arises. Now comes to the next stage, that is norming. Once the role of every member is cleared along with the authority and responsibility of each, the team members start settling in a group. Here everybody works cohesively towards the target and appreciate each other experience and skill. Once their role is set, they start working with authority and responsibility. They work cohesively towards the achievement of the target and they try to appreciate each other experience and skills in norming stage. Now comes your second last stage, that is performing stage. At this stage, synergy gets created between the team members where everyone works towards the accomplishment of a goal. This stage is characterized by flexibility and interdependence. The team members know each other so well that they can handle any complex problem that comes before the team. Also, the roles and responsibilities of member changes accordingly to the situation frequently, because at this stage everyone is equally a task oriented and people oriented and thus can perform effectively. So team members work towards the accomplishment of goal and this stage is characterized by flexibility and interdependence. Now, the last stage is of adjourning stage. This is the last stage of group development where the group is terminated and the group members are separated from each other. Generally, every group is created for a purpose and once the purpose is fulfilled, the group is adjourned. Some authors call this stage as mourning or deforming stage because the sense of loss is felt by group members at the time of separation from each other. Thus, the researchers study about the group development to determine the changes that occur within the group. Now, coming to our next topic, that is group formation. Group formation is generally concerned with the manner in which a particular group is going to be formed, the structures and processes of the group, the manner in which the group is going to be formed, the structures and processes of the group. Third, the functions of the group in different situations. So, group formation is studied for studying the manner in which the group is formed, the structure and processes of the group and the functions of the group in different situations. Now, objectives of group formation can be task accomplishment, problem solving, then proximity, socio-psychological factors, management and organization sentiments. Group formation has certain objectives. The purpose behind group formation may be task achievement, problem solving, proximity or other socio-psychological requirement. Group formation is based on activities, interactions and sentiments. First objective is your task accomplishment. The basic purpose of group formation is the achievement of certain objectives through task performance. In any organization, task accomplishment is the reason for which different groups such as engineering group, marketing group, foreman's group and personnel groups are formed for the achievement of the organizational goal. So all these groups work for achieving the organization's goal. When an organization faces some procedural difficulties, concerned groups discuss them and evolve new techniques of production, marketing and other functions. Then comes your problem solving. When people foresee or face certain problems, they unite to solve the problems. Unity has strength, as we all know, and this group, association of people, provide strength to members who are willing to challenge any problem. Group behavior gives more strength to come down heavily on problems. Now, proximity. People form groups because of proximity and attraction towards each other. The group formation theory is based on propinquity, which means that individuals affiliate because of spatial or geographical proximity. They interact frequently with each other on many topics because of their interactive communication is rewarding. So generally group are formed because of their proximity. Then socio-psychological factors, sentiments and action uniformities bring people closer. They also form groups for safety, security and social achievements. People cooperate with members of the group on social as well as economic grounds to reach satisfactory level. People form groups basically for activities, interactions and due to sentiments. People living in proximity frequently discuss their problems. They try to reduce their tensions and achieve satisfactions. Individuals interest each other only when they have common attitudes. Then comes your management and organization sentiments. People with diverse attitudes form groups under certain compulsion to meet unexpected problems. So people with diverse attitudes also form groups under compulsion to meet unexpected problems. That is management and organization sentiments to save their organization, to save the management. People with diverse attitude also form groups to meet unexpected problems which are faced by the organization. Now, there are various theories given by various authors, scientists for group formation. We are going to discuss them. Theories, what are theories? Theories are establishing hypotheses which explain a particular phenomena. Theories are the hypotheses which are formed to explain particular phenomena, particular process. Many theories may explain one phenomena as far as instances delinquency. There are psychological, biological and sociological themes which explain delinquency. On the same line as above, there are many theories which explain how groups are formed and how they develop and progress. There are several theories regarding group formation and development. The theories put forward here include classic theory, social exchange and social identical theories. Now, first is your propinquity theory. The most basic theory explaining affiliation is propinquity. This interesting word means that individuals affiliate with one another because of spatial or you can say geographical proximity. Because they are close to one another, so they are more comfortable with each other. They meet, for example, they meet daily, so they associate with each other and they form group. In an organization, employees who work in the same area of the plant or office or managers with offices close to one another would more probably form into groups than would those who are not physically located together. There is some research evidence to support the propinquity theory and on the surface it has great deal of merit for explaining group formation. The drawback of this theory is that it is not analytical and does not begin to explain some of the complexities of group formation. Some more theoretical and practical reasons need to be explored. Now, coming to next theory, that is Homans theory. According to George C. Homans, the more activities persons share, the more numerous will be their interaction and the stronger will be their shared activities and sentiments. So, more interaction, more shared activities, more sentiments and they will associate with one another. And the more sentiments people have for one another, the more will be their shared activities and interactions. It is very comprehensive theory and based on activities, interactions, and Homans theory is based on sentiments. The three elements are directly related to each other. The members, activities, interactions and of group share activities and interact with one another not just because of physical proximity but also to accomplish group goals. The key element is interaction because of which they develop common sentiments for one another. These sentiments gradually get expressed through the formation of informal groups. groups. If any disturbance is caused to any of the three activities, interaction and sentiments, it is likely to disturb all the others. Now we can see from this diagram these activities, interactions and sentiments. All these three are interrelated to factors are interrelated to each others, and as the individuals share their activities, they share more interaction and they share more sentiments. So each and every individual in that group get attracted to one another, get attached to one another because of their sentiments. So if one individual is not able to perform well, the productivity of entire group is affected. Now coming to the next theory, that is balance theory. Another very comprehensive theory is a balance theory of group formation. This theory, as proposed by Theodore Newcomb, states that persons are attracted to one another on the basis of similar attitudes towards commonly related objects and goals. People are attracted towards each other because of their similar attitudes towards a particular object or goal. Once a relationship is formed, it strives to maintain a symmetrical balance between the attraction and the common attitudes. If an imbalance occurs, attempts are made to restore the balance. So balance is formed between the attraction and the common attitude. If the balance cannot be restored, the relationship dissolves. Thus, the balance theory is additive in nature in the sense that it introduces the factor of balance to the propinquity and interaction factors. There must be a balance in the relationship between the group members for the group to be formed and for its survival. The following figure shows the balance theory. We will see the figure in our next slide. Individuals will interact and form a relationship with individual B because of common attitudes and values C. Once the relationship is formed, the participants strive to maintain a symmetrical balance between the attraction and common attitudes. If an imbalance occurs, an attempt is made to restore the balance, and if the balance cannot be restored, the relationship dissolves. So we can see individuals, these are the individuals A, B and C, they try to balance their attraction and the attitudes. If the balance is not maintained, it is restored. If the balance breaks, it is restored, and if they are not able to restore the balance, the group dissolves. That is, they have to maintain a balance between their common attitudes and attractions. That is, common attitudes and values. They have these individuals A, B and C. They all have common attraction and common attitude towards a particular object. That is, they have common lifestyle, they have work, authority, religion and politics. So they form a group. Now comes the exchange theory. This theory is based on reward cost outcomes of an interaction. To be attracted towards a group, a person thinks in terms of what he will get in exchange of interaction with that group members. A minimum positive level, rewards greater than cost of an outcome must exist in order for attraction or affiliation to take place. Rewards from interactions gratify needs which cost incur an anxiety, frustrations, embarrassment or fatigue. Propinquity, interaction and common attitudes all have role in the exchange theory. That is what a particular person is going to get if he or she joins that group. That is, if reward is more than the cost he is paying for joining that group, he will definitely going to join that particular group. That is exchange theory. Now, group development is related with the association of people to work as a group and direct their action towards the accomplishment of a common goal. The job of each group members are independent, interdependent, and hence the performance of one will affect the entire group's performance. These models and theories help us to provide insight into the group developmental stages. So today in our presentation we have learned the various stages of group development and various theories of group formation. What were those stages? Stages are your, what we have done in our stages. What were the stages? These are your forming, norming, then your storming, forming, storming, norming, then performing and adjourning. What are the theories we have done? These are your theories of propinquity theory, then Holmes theory, then your balance theory, and your last is exchange theory. So we have done various stages of group development and various theories of group formation. Thank you, class.